It all started with a young boy by the name of Izuku Midoriya. Growing up, all he wanted to do was be a hero, just like his idol and number one hero, All Might. He was at his school watching all of his other classmates get their quirks, which made him even more excited to get his own. Even his best friend Katsumi was able to get her quirk. Mom, can we please go check if I got my quirk? Yeah, just give me a second. His mother, Inko, begins to think that if he doesn't have a good quirk, that this is gonna be a problem. She takes Izuku to the quirk doctor, and when they arrive, they begin to do tests while Iko sits there, seemingly frustrated and annoyed at how long it's actually taking. The doctor comes out and begins to explain Izuku's quirk. Well, Miss Midoriya, from what I understand about little Izuku's quirk, is that it allows him to summon weapons. We aren't quite sure, but he may be able to summon weapons that don't necessarily exist in this world as well. For instance, from animes or just other universes. She then gives a fake smile and they leave. I'm so excited, Mom. I can be a hero now. Can you just shut up, Izuku? What? She doesn't respond, and then they get home. She proceeds to yell at him, telling him that she doesn't want to see him, and that a quirk like that will never allow him to be a hero. He runs to his room sobbing, and for the rest of the day he doesn't leave his room. He cries himself to sleep and wakes up the next morning. He walks out of his room to hear someone knocking. Mom, where are you? He grabs a chair and looks through the peephole in the door to see 3 police officers. He opens the door. The main officer kneels down and begins to talk. Hey, little one, I need you to come with me to the police station, and I will explain more, okay? Midoriya goes with them, and he arrives at the police station. So, Mr. Officer, where's my mom? Well, kid, your mom had to go away for a while. I'm truly sorry. But why did she? The officer turns slightly and his eyes tear up as he continues to basically just fill out paperwork. Midoriya was kept there for a couple hours waiting for an update. So they brought him into a room with video games and where he can talk to other police officers. In the police station, a pro hero walks in with a scarf around his neck and goggles on his eyes. He brings in a criminal. As he does so, the police officers take away the criminal. Hello, Eraserhead. Thank you again for your work. Yeah, of course. It's my job. Eraserhead looks into the other room, seeing a little kid watching a replay of an All Might fight from years ago. Who's that? Oh, his name is Izuku Midoriya. His mother is currently under investigation. We have a lot of proof and witnesses of her trying to actually murder him. What? She tried to kill her child? Yes, we aren't sure why, but it seems she just went crazy for some reason, or maybe was just feeling the pressures of being a single parent. Well, does the kid have any other family? Not that we know of, so we need to find him a fill-in home for now, or preferably a permanent one. He is only 4 years old. Can I talk to the kid? Yeah, sure, go in. Eraserhead takes off his goggles and just walks into the room. Hey, little one, how are you? Oh, I'm okay, mister. Wait, you're Eraserhead. I'm such a big fan. Wow, you know me, kid? Yeah, your quirk is amazing. Aizawa smiles and talks with Izuku for a bit and learns what his quirk is, but that his mom didn't seem very happy about it. After a bit, Aizawa walks out of the room and talks to the police officer. Hey, is there any chance I can take care of the kid? Like, adopt him even? Are you serious, Eraserhead? 100% serious. Paperwork is handed over to Aizawa and he begins filling it out. Well, Eraserhead, we have to deal with some legal things, but we should be good in about 3 days. In the meantime, you should tell the kid, and we will take care of him. We have a couple extra rooms in the precinct, so Aizawa then talks to Midoriya and tells him that he will be adopting him, and that unfortunately his mom will be going away for a while. Midoriya begins to cry, but he's actually excited that a pro hero like Eraserhead decided to take care of him. 3 days pass, and Midoriya is excused from school for about a week to get everything situated, and Aizawa picks him up and brings him to his new home. Mr. Eraserhead, please Izuku, just call me Shota. Okay, Shota, I wanted to thank you for taking me in. I was really scared of what was going on. No reason to thank me, little one. I'm here to help and protect you from now on. They arrive at Aizawa's home, and he gets Izuku's things situated and shows him his room. Well, I know you love heroes, so I did this to your room. There are all my posters, including Izuku's, as well as other pro hero figures and posters surround the room. Oh my god, this is so cool, Shota. Thank you so much. As he says this, he runs and hugs Aizawa's legs. No problem, little one. Some time passes, and Aizawa takes it upon himself to actually train the child. Minorly in the beginning, of course. After about a week, Izuku resumes school, and Katsumi meets him at the gate. Izuku, are you okay? Last time I talked to you, you said you were going to see what your quirk was, and then you were gone. Oh, I'm sorry, Katsumi. Some things happened, and my mother is currently gone. Not sure what happened, but I'm living in a foster home now. A pro hero adopted me. Wow, I'm sorry about your mother, Izuku, but I'm glad you have a home. He smiles, and they walk into school together. Aizawa then, until Izuku was about 10, trained him in hand-to-hand combat. Also, to basically learn how to control his quirk. And after 1 year of training, when he turned 6 years old, Midoriya created his own version of Aizawa's scarf. Look, Shota, I'm you now! Yes, little one, you look just like me. The training continued, and he turned 10. And he had a good grasp of his own quirk. And he could also summon. He also was able to basically summon most things with relative ease, and he just began to search for various weapons that he could summon, and also began trying to summon things that would technically be a weapon. Like he learned to summon forks and kitchen utensils, in which are technically weapons if used as such. So he was able to summon things like that would be good for his own convenience. Now that he's 10, Aizawa decided that this would be a perfect time to teach him how to use his scarf, because for a while he felt that he was too young to actually grasp how to control it. He then was able to master the use of his scarf when he was about 12. And Aizawa told him that he would soon be teaching at UA, and that when the day comes for him to choose the school he wants to join, that he wants to know if he would like a recommendation or if he would like to go through the entrance exam. Come on, Dad, you know the answer to that. I'm not lazy like you. Yeah, I know, little one. Sounds good to me. I'm sure you'll pass nonetheless. The day then came when their middle school teacher began to announce their possible future plans. I would hand out career aptitude tests, but I know all of you want to go the hero route. As he throws the papers in the air, and the class begins to cheer while using their quirks. Yes, and even two of our own are trying for UA. Bakugo and Midoriya. Everyone begins to murmur. Yeah, I can see Bakugo, but Midoriya? No way, he barely even shows his quirk. Honestly, he probably doesn't even have one. An explosion then silences the room, and Katsumi death glares at the class. If anyone is prepared for UA, it's him, so watch what you say before it becomes a problem. Everyone in the class is just quiet, dead silent. And then class basically just ends and Katsumi and Midoriya then walk out of class talking. Thanks, Katsumi. Hey, don't finish your sentence. You're welcome, but I will always have your back. They don't understand how hard you train. He walks Katsumi home, and when he arrives, Aizawa isn't there. He is out doing hero work. So Midoriya basically begins to do his daily routine of push-ups and sit-ups while watching TV. Seeing All Might actually defeat the sludge villain. Wow, that's insane. All Might is so strong. Midoriya then walks outside and begins his usual training as night approaches. And he begins to wonder, I wish I had something that would allow me to train for longer, even if it was limited. As he says this, a staff then shows up in his hand. Is this what I think it is? I've seen this from Dragon Ball Super. This is Whis' staff. He twirls it around for a bit and then touches the orb within the staff, appearing within it. Whoa, no way. He then begins to focus and starts moving around, realizing that it's pretty heavy, like on his body. And after a couple of hours, he realizes that he needs food, so he exits. He then looks at the clock, seeing that it's only been a couple minutes, but he was in there for at least 2 hours. He eats some food and actually brings some with him, and he enters the staff once again. He trains his physical body, but also training in producing more weapons, summoning this kunai that basically allows him to teleport when they are placed in a certain area, as well as some guns in which known as the gravitational beam emitter, which has some crazy kickback but packs one hell of a punch. Also acquiring some other weapons that he knows may come in handy later, as well as a really heavy sword by the name of the Z sword. After about a day on the inside and an hour on the outside, he exits, and he hears Aizawa enter the house. Problem child, I'm home. Hey Dad, how was your day? Pretty good. Same old, same old. What about you? Great, I found a new way to train. They walk outside and Midoriya summons his staff. Okay, and how does this help you? Midoriya grabs Aizawa's hand and enters. He explains that the time differential and that it seems to have extra gravity within it, which helps with training. And he tells Midoriya not to overdo it, especially because this place does take effect on his age. He agrees and that he will keep his use to a minimum. For the next 10 months, he started training, getting ready for the UA entrance exam. And about 5 months in, he began to train with Katsumi, showing her the training area within the staff and all the weapons he is able to summon. The 10 months end and he is shredded from all the hard training and using the staff's extra gravity every so often, and also wielding the Z sword. He is extremely strong compared to basically a normal human being because of how heavy that Z sword is, and now he's basically can move it around like it's light as a feather. The day then arrived, and Aizawa dropped both Katsumi and Midoriya off at the testing site and wished them luck. Good luck. You ready, Izuku? Yeah, I feel ready. Pretty ready. Especially with all the training we did. Yeah, I honestly am just excited to see how well we do. They walk in and President Mike explains everything, including the written exam, in which they take and are told to head out to the fake city to fight some robots. While waiting, Midoriya sees a girl trip and he tries to go and help her, but is stopped by a blue-haired boy. I will not let you sabotage that girl. What? Midoriya protests, but just gives up, thinking that this isn't really worth the hassle right now. The gates then open, and Midoriya goes sprinting out, at pretty fast speeds, faster than most top-tier sprinters in track. Up in the rafters, the teachers are talking. So Aizawa, is that your kid right there? Yes, that's Izuku Midoriya. Wow, you must have trained him very hard. Well, sort of. I mean, I gave him the basics, and the rest I left to him. Nezu then reads his file, seeing that he doesn't have an enhancement quirk, but he's extremely fast nonetheless. Midoriya then summons the Z sword and begins to cut down tons of robots, racking in about 80 robot points. Wow, this kid is impressive. Now let's see how he deals with this. The zero pointer arises, and Midoriya stares at it and sees everyone running. He's about to do the same, but he sees someone stuck under rubble. Please help me! A shield then appears on Midoriya's arm, and he stands in front of the girl. The shield then begins to change into a beast-looking creature, smashing into and biting the zero pointer, causing it to fall backwards into nearby buildings. The shield then disappears, and a staff appears in his hand, and he touches the rubble, vanishing it. Are you okay? Yes, thank you so much. My name is Ochako Uraraka, Izuku Midoriya. Here, let me help you. He picks her up and brings her to Recovery Girl as the exam ends. She actually is about to talk to him, but he's gone in an instant. Up in the rafters. Your kid is impressive, Aizawa. Yes, very much so. Here, 1 second. Aizawa then throws down a kunai next to him. Huh? What is that, Aizawa? Give it a second. Midoriya then appears holding the kunai. What's up, Dad? Ready to go? Yep, sounds good to me. Nezu stands in disbelief, and Midoriya explains to him what he just did, and he's astounded by the creativity behind his skills. And from his shield to the staff and now teleportation kunai, this is insane. They both leave and talk about how he did, and Midoriya says that he definitely passed, but he isn't sure if he actually got number 1 among everyone. Aizawa tells him that there is a good chance that he did. A couple weeks pass, and Izuku finally gets his name changed to Aizawa and gets his acceptance letter to UA, in which Aizawa, he was the one telling him how proud he was of him that he did get the number 1 spot in the entrance exam. The first day of UA came, and both Katsumi and Izuku go to UA with Aizawa, and they're about 30 minutes early, just hanging out talking. So Izuku, what are we doing today? You know I can't tell you that, Katsumi. Come on, please, just a hint, please. As she makes sad eyes. Katsumi. She pouts, and they just continue talking until the rest of the class arrives. Everyone questions where the teacher is, except for Katsumi and Izuku, of course, until he exits his sleeping bag. My name is Shoto Aizawa. Call me Mr. Aizawa or Sensei, whatever, I don't care. I need all of you to put on these PE uniforms and head outside. Wait, what about orientation? Izuku then chimes in. He obviously thinks that those things are a waste of time, and he would rather use that time more wisely. Thank you, problem child. Now everyone go change. Everyone changes, and while changing, Kirishima talks about how Izuku, how did he get so shredded? And he tells him that he just trained super hard, and it's really that simple. Oh my god, guys. Our upperclassmen gifted us a peephole. Look. Izuku then summons a short bladed sword with like Sasuke's katana, and lightning courses through it. And he basically puts it to Mineta's neck. Stop that, you pervert. In complete fear, he runs away. The whole class arrives at the training field, and Aizawa throws a ball to Izuku. Since you were first in the entrance exam, you get to go first. Stand in that circle and throw the ball as far as possible. Izuku then summons a kunai and throws it as far as possible. And then right after, he throws the ball and teleports the ball to the kunai, keeping its momentum and traveling actually about 700 meters from its teleportation strategy and his pure strength. Everyone begins to talk about how fun this is going to be. Fun? Fun? Well, how about this? If you get last, you'll be expelled. Everyone begins to freak out, but Izuku just begins to laugh. Everyone looks at him mad. Sorry, I just don't mind because I know I'm not getting last. Playing it off as if he doesn't know Aizawa's plans, what his plans are. The rest of the test goes about the same, except this time Izuku does place somewhere near the top, but still losing to Bakugo and Todoroki. The person in last place is Mineta, but Aizawa then reveals that it was just a logical ruse to make them try their best. Class is then dismissed, and Katsumi catches up to Izuku. Izuku, you saw that? I did better than you. Yeah, you did amazing, Katsumi. Hey, you're supposed to be mad. Well, like, I did better than you. And now I'm not. And now I'm teasing you about it, and you're still not mad? Izuku just laughs, saying that he couldn't be mad at her. She blushes, and he walks her home. When he arrives at his home, nobody is there because Aizawa is still at school. I mean, at a meeting, of course. So he does some training and watches some TV. As he's watching, he sees this muscular man wielding an axe, standing on a mountain. And even at night, his body and his axe gleamed like the sun. That's such a cool weapon. I need to try summoning that next training session. Izuku then mumbles for a bit, like about it, and if he would actually be able to do so. And then he heads to bed. The next morning, he gets to school with Aizawa and sits down. So, Dad, is All Might really teaching us today? Yes, Izuku. Just try not to fanboy and pass out like the last time when he came to your birthday. Come on, you didn't have to bring that up. The rest of the class enters, and Aizawa begins to talk. Okay, class, today a different teacher will be taking over class. All Might then busts through the door. I am here, entering the room like a normal person. Everyone screams. All Might, as he tells everyone to get their hero outfits on and meet him at Ground Gamma. Izuku gets changed and heads out to Ground Gamma with Katsumi. So, Izuku, what are we doing? Katsumi, like, I swear this time, I actually don't know. You better not be lying. Also, you look a lot like Aizawa with that on. Izuku is wearing basically like a green and black clothing similar to Aizawa, and also has a scarf that he trained with and summoned when he was a child. They then arrive with the group. Little Aizawa, you look just like your dad with that outfit. Everyone stares at Izuku, questioning him like crazy, and what All Might just said. All Might, that was a secret. Oh, I'm sorry, young Izuku. All Might then begins to explain that there will be a hero versus villain training, and that villains will be basically protecting the bomb, and that the heroes will have 5 minutes to plan and basically have a certain amount of time to seize that bomb or capture the villains. The first fight will be Izuku and Katsumi versus Ida and Todoroki. Basically, Katsumi and Izuku now have 5 minutes to plan. Okay, so I think this is the plan, or this is what we should do, Katsumi. We should basically just get to the roof. I have a feeling that Todoroki will do more of a frontal assault and freeze the bottom floors. So we should come in from the top. She agrees, and the 5 minutes are basically over. They blast up using Katsumi's quirk, and now they're at the top of the building. They slowly head in and see where the bomb is located, on one of the top floors, and Ida is still there protecting it. They both approach him, and he stands ready to fight. They basically just both rush in, and Midoriya summons a kunai, throwing it at Ida. You trying to kill me, hero? Izuku then teleports behind him. Hero team wins. They then head back, and Todoroki is furious. And All Might explains the flaws that both teams showed, but Izuku and Katsumi get MVP for the plan they put in place, and deciding to take this more unconditional type of route. The rest of the class has their matches and are soon allowed to go home. Izuku and Katsumi then head to his house. When they arrive, Izuku tells her that he wants to show her something. She begins to blush, but Izuku tells her that it's not like that. He summons a staff, and he enters the dimension with her. What is this, Izuku? Well, this is basically a place that time on the outside is slower, and that it increases the gravity and allows for better training. Katsumi continues to stare around in awe at her surroundings. This place is beautiful, Izuku. I mean, thanks, but I didn't technically create it, but it's nice to have a place like this when you are running low on time for something. So What? A year in here is like a day outside? Not quite. More like a year in here is like a week outside. Katsumi is still, like, just as shocked. Okay, ready to go back now, Katsumi? Still distracted, looking into the emptiness. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, we can go back now. They head back and he brings Katsumi home. The next day, of UA arrives, and Aizawa begins to explain to the class what the plans are today. Okay, class, we will be going to the USJ for rescue training. So make sure to get your hero outfits and meet me on the bus. Everyone heads on the bus, and Izuku and Katsumi sit together. Everyone starts talking about who they think is the strongest. An argument basically begins to start about either Katsumi or Izuku, until Izuku just points at her. It's her, she's the strongest. It's really that simple. Everyone kind of shocked, ask him why, and he just responds that she just is. She then starts to blush and softly punching him. Izuku, stop that! Sorry, Katsumi. The class then asks if they are a thing, and Katsumi begins to blush like crazy. Yeah, we're dating. What, Izuku? You know we aren't. As she continues to blush. Okay then, let's go on a date then. Izuku, not in front of the whole class. As she basically buries her face into his shoulder. The whole class just begins to awe. Okay, children, get off the bus. They then walk into the USJ and are met by Pro Hero 13. She then begins to explain that, well, like, basically what will be happening, until a portal begins to form on the fountain. Wow, those are fake villains too? No, those are real villains. No, those are real villains. 13. Protect the kids. Aizawa, about to jump into action, hears something. Dad, wait for reinforcements, please. I can't do that. Just give me 2 seconds. Izuku throws a kunai on the ground and basically just reaches into like thin air and teleports in front of UA. He begins screaming for help, and the USJ is under attack. And basically heroes begin to prepare to go, and All Might is about to head over. All Might, grab on, let's go. All Might grabs his shoulder, confused, and they teleport to the USJ. All Might and Aizawa then begin to fight the villains, defeating the small fry villains really fast and really easily. Until Nomu, go kill them. The monster charges at Aizawa, but All Might is just in time, basically able to punch him away. But it still seems to have no effect. About to punch All Might, Izuku comes from the sky, slashing it with its Z-sword on the Nomu, but it slightly breaks, almost like in half. Oh, that's new. The Nomu tries to punch him, but he just teleports away in an instant using his kunai. But with this slight distraction, All Might lands 50 fatal punches, knocking the Nomu straight out of the USJ. What? This can't be. Nomu lost? And so easily? He was distracted by that kid. Kurogiri, get us out of here. There's too many to fight right now. The villains then disappear, and anyone who was injured in any way go to Recovery Girl's office, and everyone is given about 2 days off. During this time, Izuku and Kasumi go on a date and officially become a couple, in which they tell Aizawa, but he already thought they were going out, and Izuku responded with, "See, I thought the same thing." Kasumi then hits them, and they basically just all laugh. The 2 days end, and Aizawa announces the coming event. Okay, problem children, the UA Sports Festival is coming up, where you, as a class, are able to show off your abilities to hopefully gain internship requests from pro heroes. And you all have 2 days to prepare, so be ready. For the next 2 days, both Izuku and Katsume train together, also training an extra day in his staff, and Izuku learns to make some new weapons that include the axe he saw on the TV and this weapon that basically can either obliterate someone or act as a stun gun. But he made sure to summon the version that would only stun for now. I didn't I didn't know you can summon guns, Izuku. Well, they are kind of like guns, but the two I can summon are super powerful, so I tend not to use them. But this one's set to stun only, so I should be good. After 2 days pass, Class 1A arrives at school and await to be announced. They are announced and the whole class heads out. Midnight then begins to talk and eventually greets the class representative, Izuku Aizawa. Hello, I don't have much to say, but I just want everyone to know that we will be putting on an amazing performance, so be ready for some action. He then steps off the podium and the crowd goes nuts. And the first event is announced as the obstacle race, and the classes line up. Right when it starts, Izuku then throws a kunai as far as possible, immediately teleporting to basically just clear through the narrow corridor before anyone else can. And he continuously throws it forward to basically move as fast as possible. He then arrives at the 0 pointers, in which he summons the gravitational beam emitter, completely vaporizing the 0 pointer, and everyone in the crowd basically just oohs and ahs. Katsumi and Todoroki catch up, though, right after he finishes the ravine obstacle, and as he approaches the minefield. Izuku is then neck and neck with the two of them at the last leg of the race, and he tries to use his kunai to teleport, but he was just too late, and teleporting so much left him a little bit drained. So Katsume gets first, Shoto gets second, and he actually got third, in which he wasn't mad about, knowing that first would probably have some handicap anyways. He was proved right when Midnight says that first will have 10 million points. He kind of chuckles, but when Katsume runs up to him, "Hey, don't do that, Izuku. Nobody wants to team up with me." Katsume, we could be a team, I really don't mind, but we need to at least have one more person. They get Tokiyami, which helps with their overall defense, but using Izuku's legendary shield, they didn't have much trouble keeping their 10 million points. The next event is then announced to be 1 versus 1 battles, and the first fight is Izuku versus Shinso. They both begin to walk out to the stage, and Izuku stands in front of Shinso. "Begin!" "How lucky are you? A great girlfriend, a blessed quirk, son to a pro hero. Your life is perfect." Izuku just stands there staring and not saying anything. "Why so quiet, little Aizawa? Say something!" Izuku then points at something behind Shinso. "What the hell are you?" He teleports behind him, and using his scarf, he restrains him. Shinso just stares at him in shock. But how did you?" Izuku then just raises his hand. "I yield." The crowd is in complete shock about what he just said. "I used my teleporting too much. I would have no chance in the second round anyways." He lets go of Shinso. "Hey, my quirk may seem powerful, and maybe it is, but I trained so much to get it to this point. And yeah, I'm blessed to have my dad. But if you knew why he adopted me, you'd be questioning yourself of why you said all those things." Izuku walks away, and when he gets to the seating, Katsume begins to death stare at him. "Why did you give up, Izu? I know you could have done more than that." Okay, Katsumi, please calm down. "Okay, then explain, right now." Izuku basically explains all the stuff Shinso said, and that he feels that Shinso deserves some more shine, and that he doesn't really need it at the end of the day. She sighs and then calms down. "Well, I have a match. Bye, Izu." Damn, she's freaking scary when she's mad. The rest of the festival finishes, and Katsume beats Todoroki in the finals, because he only used his ice, and also she has done tons of training with Izuku, and at this point would definitely be stronger than, her canon counterpart. The next day came, and Aizawa began to explain what is going to happen with the internships. "Okay, problem children, here are your internship offers, and you have by the end of the week to decide where you want to go." As Izuku looks to see that he's actually gotten the third most offers, and he begins to look through all his choices. "Children, Midnight is now here to help you choose your hero names, so I'm going to sleep now." Everyone in class comes up saying their hero names, but Izuku continues to think, and he's finally called up. "Well, I wasn't sure to put, so I Guess I just decided on this. The interdimensional summoning hero, Aizawa. Midnight basically begins to tear up. That is so cute, little Aizawa. A nod to your adopted father. So beautiful. Everyone begins to awe, and Izuku just rolls his eyes and walks to his desk. That's really cute, Izu. Yeah. I just couldn't think of anything. Yeah, sure, Izu. Izuku then makes his choice on his internship and decides on something that he feels actually will help him in terms of his hand-to-hand combat. After a while, he then leaves to his internship, and when he arrives, he's greeted by a pretty strong-looking woman. Little Aizawa, welcome. Mirko, why do you call me that? She laughs and takes him inside into her agency, telling him that the first couple of days they will be doing some sparring and working on his combat with his various weapons, allowing for him to use his new axe and other weapons, including his Z-sword. Till one day, Mirko just kicked the Z-sword a little too hard and destroyed it the rest of the way. Oh, I am so sorry, Izuku. No, it's fine. I'll just make a... He then is cut off. Where am I? They both turn, asking who the hell is he? He explains that he is known as the Elder Kai, and that he's been stuck in that sword for decades. They both are just super confused about how the hell he got in there. Sir, how did you even get in there? Well, young man, a god actually sealed me away a long time ago. But don't worry about that. I think this is a different world. So, as a so-called Kai yourself, what do you, what are your powers? What do you do? Well, if you got some time, I can show you by unlocking your potential. Mirko chimes in, saying that they were about to go to Hosu in the next couple hours. No, it's fine. We have time. I could just go into my staff. Time is slower there. Mirko looks at him basically weirdly, and he basically explained. He'll explain later. They both enter, and Elder Kai unlocks the potential of Izuku in about 12 hours within the staff, but it's only about 10 to 20 minutes in the outside world. They exit, and Mirko asks if it worked. Well, young man, go punch that wall. He goes, putting a huge dent in the wall. What? I was even holding back because I thought I would basically break my hand. That's insane. Yeah. I know. Well, I'm off now. If you need me, I'm sure you can find me. What? Where are you going? Well, to find some hot women, because that hero right there, well, she looks good, but I feel like she'll kill me if I try anything. They both look at each other and just start dying of laughter. And they basically just take a private car and head to Hosu. As they arrive in the city, it's just seemingly on fire. As they see this, a giant monster comes crashing into their car. As it makes it roll multiple times, and the creature stands perched on top of the car, screeching. The Nomu on top of the car begins to screech, and a kunai gets thrown out of the car. Both Mirko and Midoriya teleport out of the car, and Mirko kicks the head off the Nomu. Midoriya, you stay here. You need to be safe. Mirko, you know that isn't a good idea. Just let me support you. She shakes her head and just reluctantly agrees. They head off into the city, and they see Nomus all around, and they begin to fight, until Midoriya sees someone head into an alleyway. Mirko, I think someone needs help over there. I'll be right back. When he arrives to the alleyway, he sees Ida on the ground, with the hero killer about to strike him with the tip of his blade. Midoriya rushes in and kicks the hero killer away. Ida, are you okay? Midoriya, get out of here. This is not your fight. It's not yours either. The hero killer then begins to get up. Damn, kid. So you are here to help this fake hero? Then you'll die with him as well. Stain charges forward, but using his legendary shield, he blocks the attack. Midoriya then summons a katana with electricity around it, slicing at the hero killer, making him retreat. You're good, kid, but not good enough. Midoriya then throws kunais like crazy at the hero killer, and he begins to dodge, but then he realizes that the kunais aren't meant to even hit him. He looks down at the one in front of him, and Midoriya teleports to it, punching him in the face, then disappearing and teleporting to another kunai. When he appears, a black katana forms in his hand, and it lights ablaze. And he begins to basically just teleporting around, cutting up the hero killer. The hero killer then begins to read his movements and throws a knife at the area where he thinks he will be, cutting Midoriya and making him bleed. He then goes to lick his blood, and Midoriya summons his Whis staff, swinging at him, but mid-swing, Stain licks his blood. "Good try, kid, but not good enough. And a staff, really? Well, I will keep it just to respect you while you're in the afterlife." He picks it up and is sent into another realm in the staff. Midoriya then looks up at his staff. "Ugh, thank God that worked. Now time to get Mirko." "Midoriya!" Oh no. Mirko then just gets really mad at him, telling him to never do that again. He says okay, and Midoriya takes Stain out of the, basically out of the realm, and they cuff him right when he exits. He isn't taken away, and the internships are, cut short, and everyone is sent back to school. They're given about 2 days off, which Midoriya had time to basically hang out with Katsumi and tell her what happened the last couple of days, in which she slaps him for being basically so reckless. Yeah, I know, I will be more careful, but luckily the Elder Kai gave me that power boost, or I probably would have been dead. The 2 days pass, and they go back to school, and Aizawa begins to explain what the plans are for the rest of the week. "Okay, problem children, we have our final exams coming up, so I will be giving you time to study for those written portions, and make sure to be ready for the practical as well, or you will not be invited to the Forest Lodge." The class gasps, except for Izuku, but they all agree, and for the next 3 days everyone studies and takes their written exam. After, they are told to get on their hero outfits, and they head to the gym. Both Katsumi and Izuku walk together to the gym, talking. "So Izu, what are we doing for the practical?" "You know I can't tell you that, my dad would kill me." She turns to him, staring at him with death eyes. "Come on, don't look at me like that, it's scary." "Izu, tell me." We are doing..." He then runs away, being chased by Katsumi, and they reach the gym, where the teachers are waiting. "Dad, Katsumi is trying to kill me." "Izuku, Katsumi, do this girlfriend-boyfriend stuff later, please." They both blush, and they just begin to listen. "Okay, problem children. Normally we would have everyone fight robots, but we decided that doing so is just no longer practical. So class 1A will be fighting the teachers today." All the teams are announced, except for Katsumi and Midoriya, until the very last teacher is announced. "And my son and his little girlfriend Katsumi will be facing..." A person comes crashing in. "I am here, our very own symbol of peace, All Might." They both smile in excitement at the idea of facing All Might. They then begin to plan. Midoriya tells Katsumi about how he defeated the hero killer, and that fighting All Might head on isn't the wisest thing, and that he can't use his super powerful weapons without seriously hurting him anyways. "Yeah, we don't want to kill All Might by any means, so let's stay away from your really powerful weapons." "Okay, well, let's try this then." The rest of the fights end, and it's now their turn. The fight starts, and Midoriya throws a kunai at the start and runs with Katsumi. They then arrive at All Might. "Ha ha ha! Heroes! You want to fight me head on?" Midoriya summons tons of kunais, and they both throw them everywhere on the battlefield. Midoriya then summons Whis staff and begins to teleport around, and summons a pistol-like weapon and hits All Might, making him feel a slight shock and stun. All Might tries to hit them, but every time he gets close, Midoriya teleports them both to another kunai, avoiding his attack. Katsumi blasts All Might in the face, and as this happens, Midoriya charges in, wrapping his scarf around All Might while jumping in with his staff. But as he does this, the world around him seems to be in slow motion, all slowed down. He then closes the gap between them, and very quickly, and taps him with his staff, trapping him. Midoriya and Bakugo pass. What was that, Izu? Your speed, it was insane. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what that was either. He then lets All Might out of his staff. Oh, finally. I was in there for an hour, Midoriya. Oh, sorry, All Might. Time works differently in there. He then explains to All Might how it works, and he's actually really impressed by it. Now that all the fights are over, Aizawa tells everyone that that's pass or not, everyone is going to the Forest Lodge. Everyone thanks him, and they all head off home. Kasumi and Izuku hang out for the day before they have to head to the Forest Lodge and do some last-second mile training. The next day comes, and the bus picks up the class, and they head off to the lodge. Izuku and Kasumi sit next to each other while the whole class talks about how much fun this is going to be. The bus stops at the edge of a cliff overlooking the forest, and they are greeted by the Wawa Pussycats. Izuku then summons this gear that seems to allow him to maneuver areas a lot easier. What are you doing, Izu? Just wait for it. The cliff then begins to get pushed over, and he grabs Katsumi and gets off the cliff quickly, watching the rest of his class fall down. Izu, you can let me down now. It's embarrassing. Oh, sorry. He then desummons his gear, pulling out his staff. He looks at his class. Okay, well, see everyone at the camp. He puts his arm around Katsumi and basically just flies away at insane speeds. But to his classmates, it looks like he just straight up teleported. Izu, warning before doing that, please. I feel sick. They both then wait for Aizawa to show up, which he does so about 20 minutes later. Izuku, what are you doing here already? I just used my staff, Dad. I just flew here really quick. Oh, you figured that thing out? That's good, but you should have at least helped your classmates. I'm sure they'll be fine. A while passes and they show up and get mad at Midoriya, but he just looks at them and starts laughing until Katsumi smacks him on the head. They are told to go eat and get changed, and tomorrow is when the real training starts. Midoriya sees a little kid and walks over to him. Hey little one, what's your name? The kid tries to punch him, but the Midoriya teleports back to a table he left his kunai at. From a distance, Midoriya talks. Hey, that wasn't very nice. That was gonna hurt. The kid looks back at him with a serious look. Midoriya then just rolls his eyes and heads to his room after eating. The next day, Aizawa begins to explain what they'll be doing. Okay, probably children. Everyone will be training their quirks and are gonna try to improve them as much as possible. Aizawa explains to everyone what he wants from them until he got to Midoriya. Okay, son, you know what to do. Go ahead. Yep, got it. They all look at him and ask if he's getting special treatment or something, but Aizawa responds that they wouldn't be able to handle the training he does anyways. Midoriya for the next week learns how to summon even more weapons and learning how to summon a healing type of wand that he thinks may be able to have a greater effect than even Recovery Girl's healing. He continues to train hard in his combat and use of Scarf and is seeing increased output now, especially because he had the Elder Kai unlock his potential. So his natural speed is extremely fast, but still obviously nowhere near the speed is with Whis' staff. The last day of the training camp, Midoriya is taking a slight break just sitting next to a tree, and someone from behind grabs him and drags him into a portal as he falls into forest. The forest lights ablaze. Midoriya then wakes up, and he is strapped to a chair and a dark figure stands in front of him. Izuku Midoriya. I've heard many things about you. Who are you? Oh, just call me All for One. Midoriya then thinks back. and remembers hearing that name, and his face grows serious. What do you want from me?
I heard you can summon weapons, they say, from different dimensions. So all I need is something from you.
What, you want a weapon? I'm not a store, man.
Don't be dumb with me, kid.
Midoriya then drops a tracker out of his sleeve and clicks a button. And he thinks to himself that he is glad that he's been working on summoning other helpful items. The tracker then sends a message to All Might, Aizawa, and all of his friends. Okay, what do you want from me, All for One?
I need you to heal me, kid.
How am I supposed to do that?
Don't be dumb. I've been keeping an eye on you, and I know you figured something out.
Well, I can try, but since it's a new weapon, it's pretty hard to summon. Also, I just got done training, so I'm super fatigued, believe me or not. All for One then tells him that he will leave him be for a bit, and he will be back after he rests for a while. He unties him and tells him to not do anything stupid. Midoriya sits there for a while thinking about what to do, remembering that he could just use a kunai and get out if he wants to, but he wants to get as much information as possible and hopefully get someone to come here. After about 30 minutes of waiting, All for One enters once again.
Okay, kid. Now you either help me or I take your quirk and do it myself.
Okay, I'll do it. Midoriya then summons a wand of sorts, but as he does this, he summons something in his ear. Well, I don't know how this works, but as he says this, the wall next to him is broken into, and Midoriya teleports to the back of the room to a kunai he planted.
No need to fear, because I am here.
All Might then begins to fight All for One, and they go crashing out of the building into the city. More villains come to support All for One, but are sent away by him, telling Shigaraki that this is now his turn to shape society. Izuku, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, Dad. Is the class fine? Yes, everyone is fine. Now come on. They run out of the building and can see All for One and All Might fighting, with All for One having the slight advantage. Dad, please don't be mad, please. Izuku, don't even. Midoriya summons his staff and flies toward the battle. That damn kid.
Young Midoriya, you need to...
Before All Might can finish his word, a wand touches his back, and he can feel his once horrible injury somehow disappear, and his once depleted strength come back for the time being.
Whoa, Midoriya, what did you do?
Don't worry about what I did, just win. Midoriya then teleports to a kunai Aizawa was holding, and they run to a far part of the city. Aizawa asks what he did, and he explains that he found a way to heal All Might.
Wait, how did you even know he was hurt?
Come on, Dad, I'm a super fan. I can tell when someone like him is weaker. Plus, even if he wasn't, the wand would just replenish any stamina loss or injuries sustained in general. They then see the city watching All Might fight on the big screen, and he defeats All for One with his United States of Smash. The classes are given one more week off, and everyone is moved into dorms for their safety because of all these villain attacks that have occurred. So Izu, are you excited to be in dorms now? I guess, but Dad's place is really nice to train, but I guess I have the staff. Well, we can hang out more too, as Katsumi gives him sad eyes. He hugs her, saying that of course, and that he is happy they can spend more time together. The next day, everyone goes to school, and Aizawa announces that everyone will be working on their super moves in the gym, and that he will be announcing something else later in the week. The class then heads to the gym, and everyone begins to work on their super moves. Midoriya also decides to work on a super move that he's been thinking about for a while, that he wasn't actually sure would work. He summons a kunai and his lightning short katana, and for a duration of time tries to learn more about them. and actually tries to combine them. After two days, he figures out how to combine them, making a blade that has the same teleportation effects, but it's a lot more effective in battle. And that depending on where he is or where he points, he can actually teleport there, but only over a 20-meter radius. The next day, Aizawa then announces to the class that they will be participating in the Provisional Hero License exam, and he tells everyone to meet him on the bus. They all take the bus to the exam site and are greeted by various schools and head into the building. The proctor explains that the first part of the exam deals with turning off people's lights in like a game of dodgeball of sorts, and that you need to turn off 2 people's lights to actually pass to the next round. Class 1A enters a group, and the majority of people stay together except for Shoto, who goes off on his own. It's probably best if we stick together, but I'd rather just go with Katsumi. So later, guys. Also, be careful. Everyone probably knows your quirks, and they're definitely coming after you. He grabs her hand, and they go away from the group. Hey, where are we going? Well, to eliminate people should be easy enough. They then find a huge group of people, and he summons his staff, dashing in, tapping 4 people quickly, and going back to Katsumi. They enter and tag the 4 people out, and send them back out of the staff. The people stand in shock at what just happened, and that the area felt so different, and it was so hard to move, and basically some couldn't even really move at all. They head to the waiting area and kind of just hope for the best in terms of their classmates. But if the training told them anything, that their classmates would be fine. The first part of the exam finishes, and the entirety of Class 1A pass, with it coming down to the wire, with the last 7 spots being filled by students from their class. The proctor then announces the next portion will be a rescue portion of the exam, in which students will be graded on how well they can rescue people. The exam starts, and Izuku heads off with a group of about 5 people, mostly though from other classes, but also Katsumi, and he clears out rubble using his staff and takes the people back using a kunai, teleporting them back and forth, basically to the safe site where that Momo has made. After about 5 minutes of successful rescue, a siren begins to go off. What the heck is that? Tons of fake villains enter, led by Gang Orca, one of the top heroes. Oh, now this will be fun. Izuku, where are you? Midoriya is then gone in an instant, standing in front of the huge horde of villains. And Gang Orca looks at him. Little Aizawa, I've seen you on the news and you're impressive, but not impressive enough. Henchman, take him out. As Gang Orca says this, Midoriya pulls out what he deems to be his dimensional blade. The sword has a red blade with a purple handle, and he points it at the group of villains and Gang Orca. He smiles. Small fry villains is not what I want to fight. He then slices through the air right in front of him, tearing into it, kind of like if it was paper, as if the air in front of him was actually able to be cut. And when he does this, glass-like projectiles emerge with a radius as far as the villain stood, and it strikes both Gang Orca and his large group of villains, defeating all of the small fry villains in an instant. Gang Orca begins to think that this kid is insanely strong. Gang Orca charges forward, about to blast Midoriya, but as he does this, he teleports to a kunai that he placed 5 meters from his original spot. When he does this, Todoroki blasts Gang Orca with a blast of fire, and another student blasts him with a large gust of air, combining into a vortex, trapping him. Damn kids, that was smart, but you better have another plan. Gang Orca pulls out a water bottle, but as he does this, time stops. And seemingly everything begins to play out once again, but backwards. And Midoriya stands right before being charged at. And this time, he dodges. But using his staff, he slightly taps Gang Orca where his water is and removes it. Fire and wind swirl once again in a vortex around Gang Orca, as what just happened just moments ago. Damn kids, this was smart, but you better have another plan when he realizes that his water is gone, and due to the extreme heat, he actually passes out. The proctor announces the end of the exam, and everyone in Class 1A actually passes, and they head back to their dorm and celebrate. In which no one else actually knows, Midoriya figured out a way to actually turn back time, not that long, but enough to basically just change the outcome of the battle. The next day, Aizawa greets the class, and 3 students walk in and introduce themselves as the Big Three. And one of them, by the name of Tamaki, tries to speak, but he's too scared and turns around. The girl of the group, by the name of Nejire, talks to the class, but then gets super off topic until Aizawa tells them that this is super unethical. Until the last person, by the name of Mirio, just decides to have the class fight him. They arrive at the gym, and Aizawa calls Midoriya over. Izuku, come here, please. What's up, Dad? Well, you can't fight him. It will take the point out of all this. What? That isn't fair. I want to fight him. Son, please. I know how you are. You'll find a way to beat him, and the reason for this won't matter as much. Izuku crosses his arms and basically just reluctantly agrees. He then watches as his classmates are destroyed, and even Katsumi is defeated pretty easily as well. Hey, Katsumi, are you okay? Yeah, Izu, I'm fine. He's just super strong. Yeah, I know. I wanted to fight him, but my dad wouldn't let me. She laughs at his pouting, and they head back to class. Mirio then explains that he has gotten this strong because of his work study, and that first years will see great benefits if they decide to do one as well. Aizawa then tells them to try their best to find one over the next couple days, and he dismisses the class. Midoriya walks out with Katsumi, but is stopped by Mirio. Hey, little Aizawa, you did not just call me that. Yes, I did. Izuku shakes his head. Okay, what's up, Mirio? He explains that Night Eye actually wants to meet him, and most likely wants to add him to his agency for a work study. Midoriya's eyes basically just light up because of how cool he thinks Night Eye is, and he accepts the invite to meet him. And Kasumi hugs him, saying how happy she is for him on the chance to meet such a top-ranked hero like Night Eye. The next day, Mirio takes Midoriya to Night Eye's agency, and he sends him into his office. Hello, Sir Night Eye. It's a pleasure to... Night Eye then hugs Midoriya. Thank you, young child, for helping All Might that day. Night Eye lets go. No problem, Sir Night Eye. I did what any hero would do. No, you did way more than that. Than what any pro would do. So I commend you for that, and I would love if you would join my agency for a work study. Midoriya agrees, and Night Eye explains to Midoriya that there is a gang called the Shiha Zaikai that he's been doing an investigation on, and that they have been trying to find their leader, Overhaul. He explains that starting tomorrow he will go on patrols with Mirio, and if they find this man, by any chance, do not engage, and de-escalate the situation the best you can. Midoriya then goes back to the dorms and meets with Katsumi. So, how was it, Izu? Good, he hugged me and thanked me for helping All Might. Are you serious? That is amazing, you got recognition from Night Eye? Midoriya smiles and hugs her. I never knew my life could be this good after what happened to me as a child. He then sheds a tear, and the next day he goes to Night Eye's agency. Both Mirio and Midoriya then go on their first patrol. So, Aizawa, what's your quirk exactly? Well, it's complicated, but let's just say I can summon weapons, or I guess items, sorta, from different dimensions. That is insane, but like, how did you get so strong then? Well, training and something else, but honestly the other part is kinda hard to explain. As he says this, a little girl runs into Midoriya out of an alleyway. Oh, I'm sorry, little one. Are you okay? She's fine. My daughter is just a little clumsy sometimes. Both Mirio and Midoriya realize that this is Overhaul. Mirio begins to de-escalate and saying that kids can be a handful sometimes. Midoriya then can feel the little girl shaking as if she's completely terrified. He looks at her to see bandages all over her, and he remembers the time and way back when his mother was the way she was acting. Maybe what could have happened to him that night, and what happened to him could have happened to him that night when she went to jail. He looks at Mirio, and Midoriya summons his staff, and in a blink of an eye, he basically puts Overhaul into his staff. "Hey little one, what's your name?" "I'm Eri." "Here Eri, grab this, okay? And the guy that you'll meet, he's very, very nice." She then just does so and teleports away using a kunai. Midoriya then explains to Mirio that he put Overhaul in a dimension that he trains in, and explains how to properly move within that dimension, so Mirio can also move as well. They both enter and see Overhaul struggling to move. "Overhaul, what did you do to that little girl?" "You damn heroes don't understand. Eri is gonna change this society. She represents change." Overhaul begins to stand but is struggling to do so, and Mirio punches him back to the ground. "Midoriya, let's get him back to the police." They exit the staff and bring him to Night Eye. They then get quirk canceling cuffs and put them on Overhaul and take him out of the staff. Midoriya brings him to the police, telling him that he won't be hurting anyone else, especially not that little girl. As he says this, a giant person comes crashing into the precinct, grabbing Overhaul and breaking the cuffs. Overhaul then disassembles the giant looking person and combines it with himself. "Now you all will die!" His fist comes flying down, but everything just around him freezes. Now Midoriya is back to the time he once was, right outside the precinct, and he gets a police officer to bring in Overhaul in instead. Down the street, he sees a massive person running toward the area. He then uses his scarf, wrapping it around the person's head, kicking him in the face, and stabbing him with an electrified or a lightning short katana, knocking him out. Police come out and thank him for the cooperation and all the help. He then tells them that that's just what heroes do, and heads back to the Night Eye agency. "Thank you, Midoriya, for all the help you've done on this case. It was honestly amazing." "No, Night Eye, thank you for having me here." And that is the end of this What If. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. And also comment down below any suggestions you have for any future what ifs. I know that the anime has already gotten to the class 1A versus 1B arc, but I've decided that about mid-August or so is when I will actually start having my what ifs for My Hero Academia normally go into that class 1A versus 1B. And that's where I'm going to start normally stopping, unless we're on special occasion and I'll go into the manga. Because I know there's some people that are anime strictly only, so I want to wait a little bit. And I know that we're a couple episodes now past that whole arc, so I wanted to wait a little bit longer. So I know that if you haven't seen that part already, that it's not my fault if I spoil it. But yeah, that is the plan. I wanted to say that now because I know there's probably going to be some people asking about that. But yeah, if you enjoyed, like I said, please leave a like and subscribe, and check the description out for any links that I have below: my Twitch, my Discord, a GoFundMe, and all that. And I want all of y'all to have an amazing day. Later. I don't wanna waste what's left.